Welcome to the Bank First Ranger Hour. Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 Spotlight on Northwest Community College. And you can listen to our live stream at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour. Now, here's your host, Gary Darby.
Hello, North Mississippi, and thank you for holding on and being with us today. And we thank Bank First and NWCC for the partnership and what we do on Thursdays here on this program, usually called North Mississippi Spotlight. A couple of guests and information to get out to you surrounding Northwest Community College in the world of fine arts, first of all, with the program, as we will bring back in for a visit. It has been a little since we've talked to Dr. Alex Belalovic, but Alex will be on, the director of Choral Activities, and we'll kind of catch up with him and discuss the upcoming Consort series. We will have a lot of different things going on. I think there's a trip to New York. There's different things that are within the choral department that we need to get to and discuss with him in the first segment of our show. And then after a pause, we will get with the winningest baseball coach in Northwest history, as Mark Carson will be back on with us. The season underway for the Rangers. We'll tell you all about that, but we'll just kind of catch up a little bit with Coach Carson, discussing his time at NWCC and a lot of wins now as the baseball coach. So we'll get into all of that with Coach Carson in the second half of our program. And then we will finish up by discussing the games that will be going on in Senatobia for baseball and what the softball schedule looks like for the upcoming couple of days, and all of that as our program rolls along on this Thursday. It is another version of the Bank First Ranger Hour. We'll give you some other news and things that are going on, but next we're going to get a chance to talk with Dr. Alex Belalovic. We'll talk about the choral upcoming events, things going on in that portion of the fine arts department, and then Mark Carson and baseball. Stay with us. That's what we have on tap for a Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 edition of the show.
This hour is Everything Northwest, your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College, and powered by Bank First. Thanks for joining us on the Bank First Ranger Hour. Join the conversation now by texting 662-426-1093.
Yeah, please do. You can stay in touch with us at any point and time. If we're doing a show, 662-426-1093 comes into the studio here, and if you're out there and listening and safely can text message into the show, please do. I'm watching different things in the different TV stations from Memphis while we're doing this program, and they're showing the cleanup efforts and already things going on, which reminds me, our linemen will be out and working in a lot of our counties here in the Super Talk 93.7 listening area. We thank them for the job that they're doing. Not going to be easy, and another possible round of storms coming through the same area today. With that, let's get into Tate County. Let's go to Northwest Community College, where we, of course, are spending our Thursday with the Bank First Ranger Hour, and the director of Choral Activities, Dr. Alex Belalovic, is back with us. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
Things are okay, if you don't mind. How are things on campus? A little nervous after yesterday, I would assume, and I know that we have some people in Tate County that are kind of cleaning up and doing some things from yesterday, but just kind of a little overall assessment, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. Our campus here avoided any damage. I know we had some tornadoes touch down west of Senatobia, closer to Strayhorn. Some of our students spent part of the night hunkered down in the hallways in their dorms. But they're tired, but they're here, and we're continuing on with school this morning.
Excellent. All right, and so our thoughts are with all of those in the Tate, the DeSoto, and the Marshall County areas that were affected yesterday. We have some concerts coming up. Let's start talking about that. Where would you like to start?
Yeah, well, our on-campus concert for the spring is next Thursday, April 10th, at 7 p.m. at the Heindl Center for the Performing Arts here in Senatobia. And this is our Northwest Choirs concert that includes Northwest Singers, Ranger Consort, and Ranger Chorale, so all three of our ensembles. And we're looking to celebrate the reopening of the Notre-Dame Cathedral this spring by doing a whole host of French music. We've got a short mass by Delibes. We're previewing the Requiem by Fauré, which we will also perform in May in Oxford, as well as June 1st in New York City at Carnegie Hall, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. We've got a mixture of pieces from all the way back to the Renaissance to the present, and probably the featured piece is the Messe de Notre-Dame, which is by Guillaume de Machaut, a composer famous from the late medieval period, who was in residence at Notre-Dame Cathedral and wrote the first full Mass. So we're doing a portion of that to celebrate the reopening of the cathedral this year.
So I'm just thinking about those pieces and what that might entail. Are we in English, right? I mean, like, as far as the language is concerned and singing, what is the students, what do they go through? How do they, translate? How does this come into, a good old North Mississippi?
Yes. So we have nothing being sung in English on this concert.
Wow.
So we have a mixture of Latin with the Delibes Mass that our Northwest Singers Treble Choir is singing with my colleague, Dr. Jessica Payne. And, of course, the Fauré Requiem is also in Latin. And then Ranger Consort, our small ensemble, is singing 2 Parisian chansons in French, as well as a Messiaen piece called O Sacrum Convivium, which is also in Latin. So it's a mixture of Latin and French for this concert, but for all of our audience members, we do have translations in the program.
Excellent. Yeah, I was going to ask that next, but so man hours. How long is this taken to get ready for this performance?
Yeah, it's been a long spring as we prepare for this, but our students are fantastic. They've done a lot of fantastic work this spring with sight reading, and rehearsals happen every day, so we spend a lot of time, learning the diction to make these languages come to life. So all pretty standard repertoire in terms of the Fauré and the Delibes. So they've really done a lot of fantastic work this semester as we bring these pieces to life.
So you have 2 concerts coming up. Is that correct?
Yes. So like I said, next Thursday, April 10th at 7 p.m. at the Heindl Center is our on-campus spring concert. And then we will also take our choirs to Oxford in May. So on May 2nd at 6 p.m., we'll be singing the Fauré Requiem as well as the Delibes Mass at First Pres in Oxford.
Excellent. And free, obviously, both of these free?
Yes, they are free and open to the public. We encourage everyone to come out and hear some of this fantastic repertoire.
Great. And then you mentioned briefly about Carnegie and going to New York. Tell us about the trip.
Yeah, so this is the first time that a choir from Northwest is traveling to New York to sing at Carnegie Hall. We've been invited to join a handful of other choirs to sing the Fauré Requiem, and what's really special is that we were given a few minutes on stage to conduct our own repertoire. So Ranger Chorale will sing some of their own stuff alone on stage at Carnegie, and I'll conduct that, which we're really excited about. And for many of our students, this is their first time flying and traveling to New York, so we're going to have an exciting trip starting on May 29th, and the performance is June 1st, and then we'll come back to Mississippi on June 2nd.
First trip, and we're going to make it New York City. How about that?
Yeah, we're super excited about it.
Because I think about it, and I talk to a lot about my travels and sports and things that I have done. And I have been Puerto Rico, Alaska twice, Hawaii. I've done different trips in almost every 50, all of the 50 states. I have yet to make a trip ever in my life to New York City.
Well, feel free to come on up and join us.
Yeah. I wish I could. I was just, you're thinking about, and of course, where are your students from? Mostly North Mississippi?
The majority of them are from DeSoto County in North Mississippi. We have a few from further afar, but relatively local here.
Yeah, and so let's pack up and go to New York, shall we? What a great thing, right? Music and the ability to sing has taken them into this world at Northwest Community College, and all of a sudden they're going to find themselves in one of the greatest halls ever, right? And getting to perform there. What a tremendous thing for your students.
Yeah, it's amazing the opportunities that singing brings in terms of travel, and we are hopeful that we'll make this a tradition every other year to travel either nationally or internationally to sing on some of the greatest stages in the world.
Give us the information again, or how we can find out about these concerts, where we need to be, things like that. You know the drill.
Yep. Yeah, so next week, a week from today, on April 10th, at 7 p.m. at the Heindl Center here in Senatobia is our on-campus spring concert, and that's, again, free and open to the public. We encourage everybody to come out and hear some great repertoire. And then if you're in the Oxford area on May 2nd, we will be singing the Fauré Requiem and the Delibes Mass at First Pres in Oxford. That's at 6 p.m., also free and open to the public. And then if you happen to find yourself in New York, we'll be singing at Carnegie Hall at 1 p.m. on June 1st. Again, the Fauré Requiem and some of our own repertoire that Ranger Chorale will be singing there in New York. So we'd love to have everybody come out and join us at one of these 3 different concerts.
Excellent. Thanks for your time this morning. Good talking with you again. Look forward to doing it down the road.
Yep. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Dr. Alex Belalovic with us, Director of Choral Activities. Lots of things going on with the upcoming concerts. One next week, one in May, then off to New York. How about that for your first plane ride and trip to get out and about? And that's what these different programs can do. And in all fashions, right? No matter what it is, whether it's in the arts, as we're talking about, any of the educational paths that you can get at Northwest, and of course throughout athletics as well, which is where we will go next. And we will talk about baseball. And Coach Mark Carson is next. We thank Alex for being on and talking with us this morning. It is 9:30. Prepare yourself again, my friends, in the Tunica, Tate, DeSoto, Marshall, Benton County areas for more rain. You're in a flood watch again. Flash flood warning, actually, as I peek up and look at that. So there's more rain coming through that area as we speak. More to come as the day goes along. Super Talk in North Mississippi, 93.7. It's a Bank First Ranger Hour.
Thanks for listening to the Bank First Ranger Hour, your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College on Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 and streaming live at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour.
Well, we thank Dr. Alex Belalovic, Director of Choral Activities, joining us, telling us about upcoming concerts and more within that program. It's 9:35, second portion of the show. We turn to baseball. It was mid-March in Moorhead, Mississippi, where Mark Carson became the all-time winningest baseball coach at Northwest Community College. He's on the phone with us now. If you're going to break a record, might as well do it in Moorhead, baby. Good job.
Been there many times. Better, gooder places any, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. I know you're proud to talk about your program, number one. The players that have currently played in that uniform and those that have been there with you throughout this ride. But what an honor, right? And to think where you have come from in your life, right? In Tate County, born and raised, and now a part of it. I know you probably can't put into words what it all means, but can you share a little bit of some thoughts?
Yeah, it's man, just extremely blessed, just extremely humble to be in the position I'm in, and man, I've always said Northwest was home to me, and I found that out in the fall of '87 when I came here to play baseball for Coach Miles and Coach Castle, and man, it didn't take me long to realize what a great place this was, and man, I fell in love with this place, and was just blessed to be able to come back and have a professional career here, and and it's just been a lot of fun. It really has. I've been treated tremendously by our administration over the years, and just to be in the position, it's I never dreamed of this. I never thought that's my lifetime goal or anything like that. It's just you show up and lace the shoes up and go to coaching and teaching and working with young men, and 28 years later, here you are. And so it's something I never dreamed of and never set out for sure. But it is hard to put into words. It really is. I was thinking the other day the number 560 whatever, and then of course there's losses in there too. And you start thinking about games, and I thought I've coached over 1,000 games here at Northwest as an assistant and a head coach. And it's I don't know that number, but I think it's somewhere around 1,200, 1,300, and it's just mind blowing to think it's been out there that many times.
You've mentioned two names that I want you to kind of discuss as well. I know you've probably taken something in your method of coaching from both Jim Miles and from Donnie Castle and what they've done, who laid the foundation before you with that program. And I know I've asked you this question on the show before, what they meant to you and what they have done for you to getting at this point.
Yeah, first of all, coming here and playing for them, I grew up in a baseball family. My dad was a baseball guy and a baseball coach, and I learned so much of what I know and what I do from him, to be honest with you, and growing up under him and just his work ethic and what he knew about the game, and then when I got here, it was a chance to play for two guys that were big leaguers. And so when I first got here, I soaked it up like a sponge. I mean, anything they said, I took everything they said and listened and soaked it up and tried to do what they said, and and just really learned the professional way of doing things, and and how you treat people and how you run the program and those type things, and those things have really followed me. I mean, it really has. I said on the interview I did that was in the paper that a lot of decisions I make around here, that's one of the things that kind of goes through my mind. Is this something they would do? Is this something they would be proud of? And, it's just something that's always present for me. And, they both, Coach Castle gave me a tremendous opportunity in 98, 97, I guess, 98, to come back and be his assistant coach when he took over for Coach Miles. And I'll be forever grateful for him for that. He didn't have to do that. And, he and I talked a little bit about it before, and he knew I wanted to come back, and he had the confidence to put me in that role, and immediately gave me a lot of responsibility as a pitching coach, and just said, basically, it's yours, run with it, and do what you want to do, and I did, and so I'll always be forever grateful to him for that, and of course, at that time, Coach Miles was the athletic director, and so, being back under his leadership, and again, just watching the way he did things and how he ran things around here. At that point, he wasn't a baseball coach anymore, but just, over the athletic department. And it's just, there's just so many lessons you take from them, as far as from the X's and O's of the game. But more than anything, to me, it was the way they treated people. And one thing that stuck out from me always was just the respect that those two guys had on this campus. And in this community, and just how many people looked up to them and what they thought about them. And that meant a lot to me. I mean, that impressed me. And I thought, well, you know what, there's something to that. And I think it all came back to how they treated people.
Talking with Coach Mark Carson, all-time winningest baseball coach at Northwest. And obviously you have surrounded yourself with some great assistants, right? I think you learned from that as to how successful you and your program is going to be as the guys with you. If you don't mind, I'll let you take some time to talk about the ones that have been with you along the journey.
Yeah, no doubt. It's Coach Selby has been here with me. I said somewhere along the way we need to put an asterisk by his name and by these wins, because besides the games he and I have been ejected from, and the other one had to coach, all of these wins, they really need to go under both our names, because he and I have been here from day one as a head coach. He has been here with me, and of course, we go way back. We go back to playing against each other in high school and Legion ball and that type thing, and then we were fortunate enough to be roommates at Southern Miss and play together down there. And that was when, at that point, that's when we both kind of thought, maybe we want to do this gig for a living. And of course, he was drafted really high with the Red Sox and went on to a professional career and a really good one, and had some time in the big leagues. And throughout that time, we kept up with each other. He came back when I was coaching at Briarcrest, and he came back one night before spring training and did a hitting clinic for me. And so, we stayed in touch with each other during that period when he was in pro ball, and I was coaching high school baseball. And so we knew we both wanted to do this, and we really wanted both to be back at Northwest. And we always kind of joked with each other and said, look, whoever gets the head job, we got to hire the other one as the assistant. And we laughed about that. But when it started to work out, and Donnie was thinking about retiring, he knew that I wanted to bring Bill in as our hitting instructor. And so we were kind of having to look at, see what he was going to do with his professional career. And it all worked out. It was kind of, it kind of worked itself out in perfect timing there. But yeah, he's been with me all these years. And, he's our hitting instructor and does a tremendous job with our hitters, and just so respected in the baseball world as a hitting guy, and just, had a phenomenal career as a hitter. And so he's, day in, day out of our hitting philosophy here. A lot of that's on him, and he coaches third base for us. This year, he's, bless his heart, he's had an Achilles problem, and he's been in a boot, so he's had to go back to the dugout and manage from there. And I've had to step in and coach third, so we're a little bit out of our norm, but that's worked out okay. And then, Dominic Carlini's been with me now. I think it's 7-8 years as our pitching coach, and of course he played for me, and so it's always, I really like that. I love the fact that we've got guys here that played here. I think it means a lot to recruits. I think it says a lot about our program and, the love you have for it here. But Coach Carlini's done just a phenomenal job since he left professional baseball. He was with the Minnesota Twins after Southeast Louisiana. And so when he came back in here, the first year there, I was kind of, I had been the pitching guy, and we brought him in, and I really didn't know how it was going to work out. I knew it was his first coaching gig, and and he was a younger guy, and I thought he was going to do really well. And it didn't take me long to realize, hey, he doesn't need me down there giving my 2 cents on what he should be doing. It didn't take very long at all to realize, man, this guy's going to be a rock star, and he's done a phenomenal job with our pitchers and continues to do that. And they have a lot of respect for him. They have a great relationship with each other. And like I said, he's the younger guy on staff. And but those players, they really respect him. They work hard for him, and just a very knowledgeable person as far as pitching. But he kind of constructs that part of the day, and those two things I don't really have to worry about. I tell people all the time, especially when we recruit, that I don't think there's another junior college baseball staff in our state that has 3 guys that played professional baseball. And while that doesn't that's not the end all to everything, but I do think it means a lot. A lot of these kids, wanting to continue their careers and collegiately and professionally. And when you've got 3 people on staff that play professional baseball, I tell them all the time, it's not like I can tell you, hey, I read a book about this one time. This is what I heard it's like. No, if you want to know what it's like, just ask us. I mean, if you want to know what it's like to hit in Yankee Stadium in front of 60,000, just ask Bill Selby. He can tell you. And if you want to ask Coach Carlini, hey, what's the minor league life like? He can tell you, and myself. And so I think that means a lot, and I think that goes a long way with recruiting and with families and stuff. So, but also along the way, Taylor Walker was here, coach with me for a little while, and he's now in the business world, but he was here with us for 4 or 5 years and did a tremendous staff time job there with us. And I want to mention him because he played a vital role and a crucial part for us when I was the head coach as well. But you surround yourself with good people, and most of the time it's going to work out. And I'm very thankful for that, because I say, and sometimes when I was gone Monday toward Kentucky to recruiting, and left it here with those guys, and I never worry about one thing when I do that, and that's there's a lot to say about that, and so those guys are fully capable of doing the job, and they've done a great job for me.
Final thoughts, and I'll let you go. I know you've got a homestand coming up, and you're obviously watching weather like everybody else for Saturday. But 23-12, 6-8 in the conference. Some thoughts on this current version of the Rangers?
Well, it's been kind of crazy. I mean, it overall, when you look at the 23-12, and the before the conference started, we played well and kind of got into a little bit of an up and down roller coaster, which you see that a lot during the baseball season. It's a long season. Conference, man, it's been a tale of two stories. I mean, I told somebody the other day we could very well be 9-3, 10-2, and because we've lost about 4 or 5 one-run ball games, and then on the flip side of that coin, we could very easily be 2-10
right.
because we've lost some one-run ball games that maybe we won and didn't know if we were going to. But I think that tells you a little bit about this league, about how good it is and the balance in it. But I really like our team. We went over to Northeast Tuesday night and split with those guys and had a big win on the back end. I think our hitters are really starting to come alive. And you normally see that in April. It takes a little while for timing and to get a little bit of rhythm. Hitting is such a timing type skill set, and I think you're starting to see that not just here but all throughout college baseball as these hitters are starting to get a little bit more comfortable, and the velocities and things like that, they're starting to get adjusted to it. And so we're really starting to swing the bat well. We're starting to get a few pitchers back that have been on injury and coming back recovering from surgery from last year. So we're starting to, we were able to stretch it out Tuesday night that was coming back from a surgery. And Tuesday night, I think, was his first time he's been able to go 4 innings for us. So, I mean, those type factors, you look at it, it's hard to believe you're at the halfway point of the conference, but you are. And the second part of the conference is a really grueling schedule for us. And so it's no doubt it's going to be tough to get in there and hunt for it. But, at 6-8, you're in the middle of you're actually a little bit ahead of the middle of the pack. And you look at some teams that are 5-7, that are 6-8, that are 4-8, and some really good baseball teams, and they're kind of like us. They've lost some really tough ball games, and so it's going to be a dogfight here to the end, and it always is. Somebody asked me this week at church, how in the world did I do this? With the nerves, and they've been to a couple ball games where they were extra inning ball games. I said it's you get up every day and you count a few more gray hairs that have popped up, but it's stressful, but at the same time very rewarding, a lot of fun. So, but it's going to be a fun finish. So I would encourage people, if they haven't seen us play, get on out here and watch the Rangers. They're a fun bunch. They really work hard. They like each other. That's half the battle. Sometimes our chemistry is really good, I think, and so that means a lot to me as a coach as well.
Well, congratulations on everything that you have accomplished there, and I know there's more to come. Baby boy Darby swings left, throws right. If you hang in there long enough, I might have you a second baseman in a decade.
Always looking for those left-handed hitters, man. That's awesome.
All right, buddy. Thanks for joining us as always, and I'll see you at a game soon.
You bet. Thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate it.
All right, Coach Mark Carson. You see, here's the thing. Not much older than Coach, but yet my radio career started at the time that he and Coach Selby were players. And I remember making, trips and calling games when they're going through playoffs and into a World Series appearance with them. And now to know that, as he said, it's now in that 560 win range for him as a head coach at Northwest Community College. What a tremendous job, and now role model that he is for Northwest. And he talked about what Jim Miles and Donnie Castle did, which were unbelievable, and I was lucky enough to watch and be a little part of that as well. And now to see Coach Carson with Coach Selby and Coach Carlini, and what they have done and continue to do in the world of baseball. Just tremendous. And we appreciate all of that. As he mentioned, they are in a jumble in the conference and in the middle of the pack. And the games that are scheduled Saturday in Senatobia are against Southwest Community College, who is one game in front of them in the standings. They do play Coahoma as well. And so there are plenty of opportunities for them to move up in the standings. They split with Northeast in the last couple of games that they played actually on Tuesday. And so we will keep up with that and see, where this goes with Northwest and its baseball, still with these conference games coming up with Southwest and with Coahoma coming up here soon. And softball will be playing those same teams, Southwest and Coahoma, but on the road, scheduled on Saturday and Tuesday. Coach Bramlett's softball group, once again, one of the best in the state, 28-6 overall, 9-5 in the conference. You can find out all that I'm telling you at nwccrangers.com. That's the way that rolls. So you can catch up with all of the sports, whatever they may be, in the world at nwccrangers.com. I may have actually given the wrong standings there as far as Southwest was concerned in baseball. But nonetheless, as he mentioned, there is a big jumble with what's going on. Yeah, Southwest is a game behind them at 5-7, not 7-7. So they have Southwest a game behind them next, and then Coahoma, who's 3-9 inside. So an opportunity, hopefully, to pack a couple of wins and keep themselves in that playoff push in the state of Mississippi in Region 23. And we thank Coach for being on our program today. Thursday's show is in the books. Thanks for being with us. Gary Darby, it's 9:55. So long.